Hello, hello, hello. Hope all is well. Intro to philosophy student from summer. I'm feeling all right, right? I'm feeling all right. Hope you are being safe and comfortable where you are. So we're going to jump right into it. Be about a 25-minute video, maybe, to get you ready for these questions as it relates to Socrates is Plato's The Apology that's based on Socrates, right? Uh, and so I just spent a little bit of time giving you a little heads up, things I like to think about, the reason I love the apology, the reason I love Socrates, and what I want you to think about as we move into the Credo, and then we bring in some Martin King and maybe some other perspectives on the question of civil disobedience. So let me start by saying uh, this particular account by Plato, right, is an account that Socrates has to sort of defend himself, if you will. The apology is not like a my bad, like a mea culpa kind of thing. It's more of a defense, right? I have to defend myself against these charges, right? One of the questions I'm going to ask you, obviously, is what are the charges, right? So make sure you get into that. What are the charges against Socrates that has led him to have to face this 500-person jury, right? Who can both sentence him and, judge him and sentence him, right? So Socrates, the thing about him, right, is that he was a state dude, right? He served in the war in the military. Served in about two or three different conflicts. Loved his country. What I'm saying, did his thing. What I'm saying. By the time he stopped fighting, he then just kind of wandered around Athens, like looking at the world, trying to investigate what's really going on. I don't think he had PTSD. The brother just started thinking, what I'm saying, and he couldn't fight no more, and obviously Sparta was getting big, and Athens was looking at Sparta as sort of the paramount of strength, and so, Socrates is just like, walking around just trying to figure out what's going on. And he was a relatively well-off brother, in the middle class kind of dude, I guess. But in the reading and read later, the other symposium, that's going to be fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Anyway, I digress because I don't want to take your time here. So listen, one of the first questions, like I said, you're going to ask is what were the charges, right? So he's brought up charges. He has to defend himself, i.e. the apology. And then this particular reading is the account, or sort of the Plato's account of what Socrates said. To know this is to understand that this is like a monologue. So Socrates is talking to the jury, right? 500 folk. He's talking to them. And so maybe it might not be wrong if you kind of read it aloud. Some of you might do that anyway, right? Or maybe read it with your friends, or go to the audiobook, right? Or online or something, because he is speaking this, right? So it is an oratory, right? And so that may mean something a little bit different. I don't know. But how do we get here, right? How do we get to the point that, he even has to defend himself? Well, the first thing he says, look, it ain't my fault. You know what I'm saying? I'm just out here trying to be me, doing what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? And my boy, who was probably my friend, my boy goes and talks to the oracle, and the oracle is telling him like Socrates is the smartest dude in the land, and his boy is like, the oracle of Delphi, right? Well, the oracle is telling Socrates, his friend, like, your boy is the smartest dude around, right? So Socrates' boy comes back and tells Socrates, look, the word is by the gods, right? And ideally, Apollo was the one speaking through the oracle of Delphi. But the word on the street is you're the smartest dude around, right? So if you look at, I want you to make sure, I think in your page here, you want to make sure you look around 21b in the Stephanus notes on the side, 21b. Socrates is saying, listen, God tripping. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what the guy's talking about. I'm not the smartest dude around. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, let me get myself together and go around and find me some people who are smarter than me, because that way I ain't gotta have this albatross around my neck, right? I don't want nobody, putting a bounty on me, thinking I'm the smartest dude around because the God said I was, right? No, 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 no. I'm gonna go around and find me somebody who's smarter than me. So what you'll see is Socrates' point here is that he will go around then and start talking to the poets, start talking to the artists, start talking to the politicians, different folk, and just start, look, I know y'all got the answers to this stuff that I didn't got the answers to, right? I know you all know some things that I have no idea about. So let me get this information from the people who supposed to have the information, because y'all the experts, right? Y'all the knowledgeable folk. So in this process, right, we, especially in philosophy, we became to understand a thing called the Socratic Method, right? That'll probably be the second or the third question that I ask you. So you have to just make sure you understand what the Socratic Method is, right? But anyway, so we understand the Socratic Method. Socrates is employing that as he goes around the city, asking various questions. Quite frankly, he pissing people off. Why is he pissing people off? Well, here's how this story becomes interesting. So think about the things that you think you know. Whatever that is, right? Socrates will come to you and say, well, since you say you know that, let me ask you some questions about that. And then the questions he'll ask you, it'll be pretty innocuous, right? Like even when we didn't read the Euthyphro, but he asked Euthyphro like, yo, why are you here prosecuting your dad, right? So he'll ask a politician like, yo, what is justice? He'll ask an artist, I know what is beauty. And then during the course of these questions and the response by the interlocutor, Socrates had more questions. And eventually the person being questioned by Socrates will then contradict himself or herself and himself in that context. And Socrates would be like, yo, dude, you don't know what you think you know. And you going around town acting like you got it going on, and in reality, I'm not sure you do. And so there's a sense to which Socrates then embarrasses some important folk. And you can imagine it's like young folk. Young folk always like confrontation, right? Young folk always like a fight. Young folk always like people who piss people off, right? Young folk like that. And so there's a term that's come up in the apology you'll see called the gadfly, right? Or the horsefly, right? And so Socrates considered himself a horsefly, right? I'm just asking questions, and if it pisses you off, well, I'm just trying to figure out, since you big and bad, help me to understand why you so big and bad. Right? So in around 21D as in David, around 21D, he'll eventually tell you, listen, I'm searching for the wise. Right? There's a rapper I always quote, kind of old now, students in this class probably wouldn't know who it was, but back in the early 2000s, so maybe about 2000, yeah, Gorilla Zoe, right? It wasn't too popular, right? But he had this one song where he says, I'm searching for the wise men, but the wise men are walking in Pampers. I'll never forget that line. Because when I heard that line by Gorilla Zoe, because he said, look, I'm alone in the world, nowhere to go, and I'm searching for answers. The world is a maze. And here I am in a labyrinth, he says. So I'm searching for the wise men, but the wise men are walking in Pampers. Socrates said the same thing 2,500 years ago. I'm searching for the wise men. And in general, what philosophy does at its best is search for wisdom. Because we want to find it. We love it. We want to ascertain it. But in the process, we realize maybe it is those precepts and presuppositions that I thought I knew. Those things that my mama taught me. The stuff that Miss So-and-so or her sister so-and-so or father so-and-so. Well, they gave us enough to kind of be communal with people. But they really didn't give us the root. As I said the other day, the cause, the true cause, the metaphysics, the true cause of certain things. Socrates needed to know that. And so in the process, you can imagine, after you done pissed off enough important people going to be like, yo, they're going to clap back. They're going to be mad. And so what you have here is people, important people, like, nah, dude, you can't be around here affecting our city. And in many cases, they thought Socrates may have been a traitor. Right? Came home from the wars, yeah, you did all that, but maybe you a traitor, dude, because you're getting young people to look at their parents different, to look at leadership different, in a sense to which you're even asking questions about the gods that you're not going to get into this Greek religious piece. Right? Remember, Athens, and it's time, is a theocracy, right? So the government and religion is intertwined. So when you start questioning whether or not, because teaching, I should put it this way. Because if you look at theocracies, the religion and the state is intertwined, right? And so citizens, especially young people, but citizens have a duty to do what? Uphold the law, right? And the upholding of the law is linked to the upholding to the gods, all right? And so we want to make sure we do the right thing by God because we want God to shine right on us, right? That ain't nothing new, even to a lot of the religious stuff we practice now. The problem is, though, is that when we're questioning various things that we just assumed was true, then it almost raised what we know because the gods said this or the gods applied that or the gods. And Socrates is like, well, whoa. Now you get young folk and even some non-young folk who are now maybe possibly questioning the gods. And within a theocracy, you then ostensibly you're questioning the state. Man, you got to be dealt with, Socrates. And so this apology is him being dealt with. And so he's having to respond to all these charges, step by step, giving his explanations. And he's even telling them, look, I'm guided by the spirit of the daemon. I'm God, the spirit tells me. Now, of course, those Protestant folk who might be in the class, we ain't talking about the Holy Ghost, right? But maybe we are. You know what? Maybe we are, right? Maybe Socrates had a guided force that was different, the same and different, motivated and moved by truth, not by dogma. I don't know. But he says, look, I'm guided by the daemon, and I must act in a way in which I'm guided. Now, think about that principle. I must act in a way that I'm guided. Now, one of the last questions that comes up toward the end, after he's the verdict has been done, around 38A, right? The most popular line in philosophy. I'm going to send you a video from my mentor where he quotes this line talking about the importance of philosophy. But he says, look, the unexamined life is not worth living. I got to do this philosophy thing. I got to do it. Y'all can have this other stuff. Y'all can have all the things that make you happy with these answers that you may or may not have credibility in, but it helps soothe you. But I need this philosophy thing. I need to be able to examine everything that I experience. But can't you just shut up and just let things be, Julius? Can't you just allow the answers to make sense so people can commune together without any type of sort of tension and conflict? Can't we just accept certain realities? Socrates say, well, why would we do that? If you can prove to me that those realities are true, then I'm with you. But you can't just force me to accept it just because you say so. And quite frankly, just because your mama says so. Just because the mayor, the governor, the president says so. So listen, Socrates at the end says, listen, whatever you do to me, it is what it is. And you see, they'll give him some options. Socrates is like, look, if the options include not being a philosopher, then like, what was it? Was it Patrick Henry? Give me liberty, give me death. Give me philosophy, give me death. Right? Give me the ability to search for answers. Give me the ability to seek wisdom. Give me the ability to not accept everything that everybody else accepts. Allow me to be a gadfly, to disturb some people who are just too comfortable. Allow me to push back at authority just a little bit respectfully. But just telling authority just because you're big and bad in a position don't make you true. Don't make you honorable. Honor comes in integrity. Integrity comes in truth-seeking. Truth-seeking comes in humility. I argue as much as students, we were in class, you'd probably after the first day, oh, this dude is so arrogant. This dude, maybe. I look at him differently. I look at him humble. He's only arrogant to folk who are used to being the boss. And people just bowing down to them. And so, quick wrap up, and again, I'm going to put this in your notes. As you're reading this short presentation, remember it's an account of his speech. I'm going to ask you a few questions. What's the charges? I'm going to ask you, what's the Socratic Method? I'm going to ask you, what does wisdom mean to Socrates? I'm going to ask you, what are the definitions of philosophy? Is the idea of the unexamined life? What does that mean? And I might ask you a more theoretical question to sort of get your mind moving into the credo that we'll read next. But what I want you to remember, for me, as you think about this story, how would you act if you were accused of something that you didn't do? You ain't just gonna sit back there. I watch the first 48 all the time, right? And the first